The Acolyte is finally done and nobody cares. The perhaps most notable thing about it was, as we will see later on, that it triggered a Kristian Harloff moment in Grace Randolph. Kristian Harloff, of course, being the pundit who, after years of loyal promotion of shitty Star Wars projects the audience hated, had a meltdown and let his true feelings be known when he wasn't rewarded for his trouble.
I've been called shill, I get screamed at,
More on that in this video, and Leslye Headland's desperate calling on fans to ignore the evidence of their lying eyes of how crap Season 1 was and beg for a Season 2 of The Acolyte. Can a second season actually happen? Let's dive in. I'm not going to waste much time on anything in the season finale of The Acolyte, or indeed anything else in the 7 episodes leading up to it, as I already expressed following the previous episode that this is all horrendously bad, canon-breaking fan fiction that no one should take seriously or give the time of day. Indeed, even the Access media articles defending the series have dried up. I can't help but notice the similarities to The Rings of Power, another ill-advised, too-big-to-fail DEI disaster that the corporate entertainment media complex hailed as the best thing since sliced bread when it came out, all while accusing fans of bigotry and for engaging in review bombing for not liking it. My prime go-to example here is The Guardian, because upon release, they said The Rings of Power was so astounding it made the House of Dragons seem amateur. But once the series was done and their positive review had been registered, they did an about-face, saying, and I quote, "Now that it's over, let's come out and say it. The Rings of Power was a stinker." This is always par for the course whenever accusations of review bombing are thrown around. The fans whose initial reviews were negative never change their minds because they were right the first time. Instead, it is the early positive reaction from the professional critics that is proven to be wrong, because they won't withstand the scrutiny of time. So, Grace, now that it's over, what did you think about The Acolyte as a whole? Did all of those who hated it from day one have a point?
Honestly, now that the season is done, I just don't think it was worth it. At the end of the day, it was almost like it was just manufactured for all the hate. Like as a challenge, which is weird because it's a show about Sith. It was like, yes, let the hate flow through you. But you're like, oh, is that intentional? I mean, I'm just so disappointed. And the ratings are very poor. It's not like this is some great battle for the future of Star Wars that's being fought over here. No one cares. It's, it's unfortunate.
She is right about the ratings though, they are awful, and I saw WDW Pro report that viewership was down an incredible 95% from the height of the finale of The Mandalorian Season 2 to the finale of The Acolyte. So, in short, no one cares, because the audience is gone. It would probably be in Disney's best interest to do with The Acolyte what they did with the previous lesbian-themed franchise revival, which would have been Willow, and pull a David Zaslav. That is, erase it. Pull it from Disney Plus servers. Pull it from the market. Claim a tax credit and make it so it never existed. Case in point, the official Willow canon right now remains that one movie. He never ever was a side character in any kind of revival in which Kathleen Kennedy put a bunch of chicks and made them lame and gay. That never happened now, and it is never to be spoken of again. That is the fate The Acolyte so richly deserves. Leslye Headland disagrees with that though. She wants a Season 2, and presumably the paycheck that would come with it, so she is calling on all of the non-existent fans to campaign for more The Acolyte. Hedland issued this plea by way of Collider, while others, like that Park Place, did a far more cogent retelling of the same story, writing, "In an interview with Collider following the conclusion of the first season's finale, Hedland was asked by Maggie Lovett, 'Shifting gears, one of the most popular questions that I get to ask you from Twitter was, what do fans need to do to ensure that we get a season 2? Hedland replied, "Truly, any online support and love you can send the show." It's a little tricky because of the way the internet works, but if you enjoyed the show and you want to see more of the story, any support that you can give the show on social media platforms would be super helpful. That's code for that it's not looking good. From there, Hedland stated, "Encourage your friends to watch the show. A lot of my work has been word of mouth. We were talking about the review bombing, so just telling people don't pay attention to the IMDb score. Yeah, ignore the evidence of your lying eyes." She then stated, "If you enjoyed it, tell people. It kind of seems that it's sort of basic, but I think what's interesting is that nowadays, if you like a show, you're very rarely going to be online and be like, 'I liked this show.'" Well, I think Fallout may disagree with that, but anyway, she continued. "By the way, I know this is already happening, even though I'm not online," she added. "People have been sending me fun tweets and beautiful artwork and all of these ship comments, and I'm absolutely loving it. I know it's out there. But if you aren't doing it, I would encourage you to do it and support the show. So, thank you." Once again, doubling down on the shippers, the truly toxic fans, the ones who harassed Adam Driver and his wife, because those deranged cat ladies considered her to be an obstacle to the love they projected between him and Daisy Ridley. But that's just about the only audience that this series has, crazies who sends Leslye Headland their fan art. That doesn't mean there is any genuine fan support, because there isn't. On the contrary, this is the series that triggered Grace Randolph to have a Kristian Harloff moment all of her own. And for those who don't know what I mean by that, Kristian Harloff was a former Collider pundit who had promoted all things Star Wars in his Jedi Council show, even stuff he knew full well the audience were not on board with. So when Galaxy's Edge opened, he at the very least expected an invite for his trouble. And he didn't get one.
Guess what? I'm not. I've been busting my fucking ass being a Star Wars fan for 5 fucking years.
I feel
on
the
show.
same way about.
I've been called shill. I get screamed at. So let this one. Let me be a fucking shill for this one. Let me go and experience this fucking thing. And maybe I don't even like it, but I wanted to go.
I completely agree.
I wanted to go, and the fact that it wasn't even. It would have been a thing. You know what? I would have still covered it if they wrote back and we said, "We're sorry we missed you on this one. Our spots are all full at the moment. Thank you for promoting us in general."
No response.
No response. And it's like, fuck off.
Similarly, burned over all the flack she got for supporting The Acolyte, a series that did not fulfill its own promise, Grace Randolph was less than impressed with Disney.
But for me, after, again, falling for really good, promising promises, but that they ended up being empty, I just feel really let down and really badly burned, because it was really tough defending this show. Not even defending it. Well, I guess I defended it a little bit, but just saying I liked it. It was brutal. And I feel like I backed up Star Wars, but Star Wars didn't back up me. And it was tough. It was really, really tough.
She also let her true feelings on all things Disney Star Wars be known.
Like, the ideas have promise. I think Star Wars comes up with good ideas, Disney Star Wars, but the execution is consistently bad. And sometimes it's really bad. And I think we're all getting tired of promises for another day that almost always these days ultimately become empty or are revealed to be empty promises. So, I was so excited, for instance, with Ahsoka, with the return of these iconic characters from Rebels. And it just never materialized. They again leave you saying well, maybe in season 2. And that's just, I'm so tired of watching these series and seeing the episodes and the minutes count down and, being so nervous. I think we all have that feeling of do you have enough time left to do what needs to be done? And the answer is always no.
Hard to disagree with any of that. But what about Season 2 of The Acolyte? Could it really happen? Under the conventional rules of profitability and return on investment, no, it could not. But then again, neither could Season 1 in the first place, and yet that did not stop them then. So I'm going to say that as long as Kathleen Kennedy remains in the building, there is a fair chance a second season could happen. Sure, that would be flushing even more shareholder money down the drain. But they won't know, as there's nobody on Disney's board who represents the shareholders or will report back to them what's going on. And their one chance of seeing this change was backing Nelson Peltz, which not enough of them did. So I wouldn't rule out the Acolyte continuing just yet. So, would you like to see more of the peeping Tom Darth Plagueis and the further misadventures of the Acolyte continue? If so, let me know in the comments.